On the surface, from the medieval times, people in dynasties, territories and empires of this part of the world lived together, but in reality, Nigeria was formally made by the British colonizers in 1914.
Lugard recognized the differences. There were differences, which as a matter of fact that people have their history that has come with them. But in general principle, they had lived peacefully. My people, the Ijaw people, were fishermen. And as far back as history can remind us, our people used to go and fish along the river Niger, right up to Baro, and even from there, anywhere there's water. They even looked for waterways and got even the Lake Chad, and formed villages and settlements in Lake Chad. And the people, the indigenous people, allowed them to stay there peacefully and practice their fishing. And the same thing along the West African coast. So largely people lived together.
And the unity between us Nigerians was cordial. If you go to any remote area of the northern Nigeria, you see an Igbo man or a Yoruba man in that community. And so like with the Hausawas of us, my own sister was married to somebody from Ibadan, and they live well there. So I could say the interaction was much more. The belief of Nigerian unity was much more, and that we believe that we need to live together as one Nigeria, and that was really the prime and the focus at that time.
It is true that Nigeria is a multicultural society coming from different backgrounds. Creed, ethnicity and political propensities differ. Therefore, the experiences of the people of Nigeria, their interests and the quest for modernity all make different demands in life. These demands shape Nigeria's existence. But one thing is certain, Nigerians are all too keen for the progress, unity and prosperity of the country.
I'm a Yoruba man, born and brought up in the north, grew up in the north. Can somebody come and tell me any negative thing about a northerner? I would tell him he should go to hell. I grew up in the north. I speak Hausa. The biggest medium in the north then was New Nigerian newspapers. I became the general manager. Of course, the first in the history of Nigeria. I became the general manager. So, why should somebody tell me that there's discrimination? If there was discrimination, the northerners will not make me GM of New Nigerian newspapers. So what is wrong with us? We should remove all this arcade attitude of destroying ourselves by being deceived that because somebody... Look, I am even worried and I'm not too impressed with putting state of origin on our documentation. What is state of origin?
The ideals they had, irrespective of all this, particularly, number one, was to build a country where all people are equal. All Nigerians are equal. Two, to build a country where people can live together in harmony and peacefully. And a country that will aspire to be one of the greatest countries in the world. If you read the speech of both Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, who was the president of the country, and Sir Abubacar Tafawa Balewa, the prime minister, if you read their independence declaration speech, their pursuit, their ideal was to have a country that will be one of the greatest countries in the world.
If I am asked whether I'm happy because Nigeria is free and the Nigerian government appears to be stable and the people of Nigeria are apparently satisfied that the price of freedom and the price our leaders paid for it were worth the sacrifice, I would answer in the affirmative.
Just like now, in those days, each and every part of the country struggled for development, but even that required contact in the right places.
Whatever plan we have for the unity of this country, we should maintain it and then use it as basis to advance. If there's any mistake created or otherwise, deliberate or otherwise, remove that mistake and then continue with something, because our main objective is unity. Unity. The moment you feel that main objective, whatever comes aside to distract it or to disrupt it, remove it and work towards our unity. And inshallah we'll get the unity in place, because we will understand each other more. We'll be able to respect each other, and we'll be able to tolerate each other, both in religion, ethnicity, and whatever. But if now what you put on the ground for the unity of for this country, you say, okay, stop it. So your aim, objective of achieving unity is also stopped. It's been checkmated. It's been disrupted. So it's important. This issue we are bringing, we should create more rooms that of forum or project and program that will bring the country together. In terms of establishing this, establishing that, making North to go and work in the South, South to come and work in the North, and improve on the relationship. The more we improve on the relationship, the better our understanding of each other, the better we respect each other, and the better we tolerate each other. And the prosperity, is always, from God. Continue to prosper as a country.
Some people don't know any other place than, in fact, their own, the 2 or 3 generations. They have been in a place, and you are telling them this one is a settler, this one is an indigene. Everyone in this country is a settler. Everybody. What's an indigene? You must come from somewhere. But you see, we must accept where we are now. We must accept God has created us together, and we just have no choice. It's just like you don't determine where you come from.
Many Nigerians today are clouded by memories of the past, but some details remain vivid.
But when I was born, the houses just have rooms, and for sleeping. But the toilets and kitchens are outside. So these are all some of these I just remember, and I would say that in my time, the currency was changed. I was in secondary school, from pounds, shilling and pence, to naira and kobo. And so was also the driving. When we got independent, it was driving on the left, but by the early 70s, it was changed to driving on the right, which in line with the French system and most of our West African neighbors. And also, still a lot happened when I was in secondary school. We changed from imperial system of, calculations to the decimal. So from inches, feet, and yard, we now went to meters and centimeters and millimeters. And also from gallons, we changed to liter, and from miles to kilometers.
The biggest disappointment Nigeria heard was that the First Republic was destined to be short-lived. That was how Nigeria's destiny began to change. The military took over in 1966, and subsequently, the civil war followed, which ended with no victor, no vanquish. It was a pride moment. What Nigeria wanted, Nigeria got. One nation, an indivisible one.
Nigeria is like a silk gown, this type of a gown, but this one is not silk. If you raise this side falls. If you raise the other side, this side falls. If you try to raise the 2 sides, they'll say you're a madman. I know if you had an accident, you had a broken leg, it takes time to heal the leg. It takes time to even put up the problems on the leg, and it will pain you while they are doing that. So let Nigeria understand that.
Nigeria of yesterday, the present, and Nigeria in the future may mean nothing to all those jostling for survival on the streets. But if Abuja is a city transformed years after independence, so also other cities like Enugu, Kano, Lagos, and Port Harcourt. They all have similar issues: development, opportunities, and security. This means many challenges, more problems, and much expectations.
We shall never allow those fault lines to be reopened. They have been closed, and by the special grace of God, they will remain closed forever. We shall continue to think of as one. We shall do things as one. And Nigeria is a country of limitless opportunities. Every Nigerian has the capacity and the ability to become whatever he is capable of becoming without any hindrance, without any mitigating factor or factors pulling him or pulling her back.
And it also means the search for new virgin wealth to support the growing demand of the population in this ever-changing world landscape.
When Nigeria got independence in 1960, I think we were roughly 50 million. And today, we are roughly 200 million. That means we have quadrupled in 60 years. But the economy has not quadrupled, as far as I'm concerned. In fact, it's even shrinking, as they say, because of climate change, global warming. You know, they talk about Lake Chad being a tenth of how it was, and also farming land also reducing. You know, that's even at the core of the conflict between the herders and the farmers. They are competing for the same land. One wants to graze his animals, and the other wants to farm the same land.
We have no business being antagonistic towards one another. Because we have everything that we have a common denominator. The person in Abuja had the same problem with the one in Kaura Namoda. The one in Kaura Namoda has the same problem with the other one in Mubi. And so the one in Jigawa or Katsina. The common denominator of all these people that I have mentioned is hungry for development. They want their communities to be developed. They want wealth to be created. They want prosperity to be enhanced. We could all do these things together without acrimony.
Questions remain. Nigeria, so rich in natural resources, yet at the same time, so poor in living standard. Where is the problem and how to address it to achieve genuine affluence?
If we move from an atmosphere of consumption into an atmosphere of production, then production by its very nature, it requires cooperation. To create wealth, you have to work with other people. You know, to kick things around and eat things, you don't need anybody. But if you want to create wealth, you must work with other people. And that's what the whole world has found out. So as we change the conversation in this country from consumption to production, I believe that the need for integration, cooperation, and collaboration will become self-evident, because human beings never do what is not in their interest. Once they know that for you to make money, you need the Igbo man to sell the thing you have produced, you need the Yoruba man to do this, they will work together. Everybody is looking for money. But if the food is already there and everybody is rushing to take his own, then you don't need anybody. That's what is happening in this country. And our economic situation now shows that we have to produce. If not, you know, we'll be in big trouble.
A lot of our youth today, they really do not understand the impact of the civil war in this society, where millions were suffered hunger. Thousands, there were a lot of movements from across north to south, south to east, and a lot of people suffered during that period. But the younger generation do not really appreciate that impact. And as such, when they look at their immediate problem, they get agitated. And normally you don't blame them, because as youth, there is that tendency that you don't they are not matured enough to reflect deeply for them to overcome these challenges. And unfortunately, the elites we have in Nigeria, especially the political class, they pursue their interests.
Where people are discussing how to move the country forward, we must give room to some nuisance values. Not everybody can think the same way. Not everybody can be so sharp to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So, we here, we do everything to protect the integrity of this country, the cultural values of this country.
Nigerians of all ages have a strong moral responsibility, a very strong moral responsibility to continue to love this nation, because this is our nation. There is no nation like this country. We have achieved so much. Those that are saying that we have done nothing probably do not know the story of this country 30, 40, 50 years ago. If they do, they will know a lot had happened. A lot has changed in a positive direction. And a lot of things are happening. We should begin to trust our political leadership. We should try as much as possible to de-emphasize issues that are divisive in nature. We should promote culture of unity, of togetherness, and love for one another.
We are already finding a way out of this problem. And we keep struggling because sometimes some of the problems that happen to us are not created by us. They happen by accident, and we just have to find a way out of this problem. For example, the COVID-19 now that came, it paralyzed everything globally, and including the country. All the projections that the government made for socio-economic development and transformation in the country were cut off because the funds are not there. But apart from China, there is no country in the world today that is not in recession. This is serious. And in Nigeria, the population is growing. We have so much deficit in all the indices of our development, in terms of education, roads, the railway. So many things are there that they needed to be harnessed before the economy can develop.
And then when it even comes to sharing of whatever, revenue you have, whatever you do for Mr. A, or Mr. A will also get his own sort of side in terms of area, in terms of commitment, in terms of availability of whatever. Because that's what we're always having a problem in this country. When I come to revenue sharing, you say you make some graphic aggregation. Aggregate that, okay, this one will get 5%, this one will get 3%. So if that one is getting 3%, we will be looking for another way to getting 5%. Yeah? If you want to put population, that's why even during population and census, that's always a problem. Because people look at the population, there's a way of getting more money, more resources. Population, basically, they need the authority want to get the number of people available so that it can go to service that community or that number of people with what they need in terms of education, in terms of health, in terms of agriculture.
If the dreams of the founding fathers were the visions manifesting in the survival of Nigeria, there is nothing to contemplate in becoming more modest, sociable, and a country to follow in giant footsteps. In the Nigerian culture, human dignity is vibrant, so compelling. No wonder Nigerians care for each other at all times.
The explosion of violence in our midst, there are several factors which we all know. You see, if in the far north of this country, we know the system we have of this Almajiri system. That system has really created as good as it is, that the parents have the intention to bring their children morally, but at the same time there is serious neglect. You cannot have a child and then you throw him to the street. Some of us, we went through the Almajiri system, but we went from our home. So we need to reform our system.
Culture is key in every part of the world. People who don't have a culture are not supposed to be living. Culture is what speaks for the people. If you don't have a culture, then you have a problem. We, for a long time, in the recent time, we now encourage our younger ones to imbibe other people's culture. I'm telling you, we need to address it as quickly as possible. Our culture is our strength as a people, our heritage. We must believe in who we are.
And it is in this spirit that Nigeria play a major role in Africa and beyond, in diplomacy, exhibiting high sense of decorum.
We have the social challenges of poverty, unemployment. We have to deal with it. That notwithstanding, Nigeria has stood very tall around the world. When we got independence, we had about 10 embassies around the world. The most important countries: United Nations, Washington, Paris, London, and so on, Cameroon, which was very important because it's one of our most important neighbors. But today we have, at the time, about 120 missions around the world with full embassies operating, protecting Nigerians. We have some of our internal problems, but we still have done very well and brought pride to the black man around the world and to the development of Africa, which were part of the speech, like I said at the beginning, of Prime Minister Tafa